Well, it's April in the garden. I like to show updates on what's going on in my garden. Hopefully you can be inspired by what you see in my garden. I'm quite proud of what we have going on in here, and I like taking you on little tours. This, by the way, is anise. Really good for the digestion. Tastes like black licorice. I love this stuff. A lot of people don't like it, but I do. Let's check it out. My tomatoes are doing amazingly well. This is the experiment. As you can see, I'm doing things. I put a 15-gallon pot in the ground over here, and I fill that up with water. I've got 4 standard sized tomatoes here, and this one over here is all the cherry tomatoes. And I planted all these at the same time. This one down here, it does not have a pot. You can see it's about half the size of even these other guys over here. And for some reason, the cherry tomatoes have just exploded. They're taking off really good. I put chicken manure and some compost down in here. The rest of the garden is looking really nice. I've got a lot of flowers, a lot of really, really great stuff going on in the garden now. I can't believe how many sweet peas came up this year. A lot of it has to do with all the chips that we put down. And as you can see, we put chips down over almost the entire garden. And as a consequence, we get stuff coming up in the chips. Old seeds, we got chard and lettuce and carrots and all kinds of stuff. Look at all this over here. And the cool thing about this is, because we got wood chips down, I water it, but I only water it like once a week, and I don't give it too much. The wood chips really go a long ways towards conserving water and making the garden work really good. It's actually a good idea to put wood chips on the beds. I have some of them have wood chips, some of them do not. So here's a few other things we've got going on. Oh, look at that. That guy just came up all on its own. That's a sunflower. We'll see what happens with that. But we've got all these fava beans down here. I love fava beans. I like them raw. They're real tasty, but they're also good for nitrogenating the soil. They're sort of what's known as a green nitrogen. And we got a lot of chard. The chard is starting to burn a little bit. I think that you can get away with it just about any time of year, but I think it's better in a little bit shadier spot. This one's doing pretty nice. It's so pretty. I just love this stuff. And it's really tasty. But you know, even the bad leaves, you just cut off the bad parts, chop it up like spinach. You can, there's all kinds of things you can do with it. I like it in green smoothies because of the size of the leaves. You can get an awful lot for your good bang for your buck, so to speak. We're trying potatoes this year. Potatoes kind of take up a lot of real estate. Sandy wanted some, so she's trying some in pots over here and some over in this area. We'll see what happens. She's kind of doing some raised areas, keeps adding more fill to it. We still have some kale going on. Got a number of different types of kale. And one thing that's cool about kale is you can just keep picking leaves off the plants for a long, long time. They're a type of plant that when they go to seed, they'll die back. But if you notice, we keep chopping off all the seeds, and it keeps them going and going and going. And there's so many different types of kale, and they've all got a really unique, different flavor to them. I like them all. We got North Swiss chard coming up over here. And this whole area right here was full of snow peas, and the sweet peas have taken over. So we like bringing in a lot of pollinators and bees and butterflies, so I don't mind them. I like the flowers. And let's see, what do we got over here? These are called gopher plants. Presumably they keep gophers out. I can't say they work or they don't work, but they're an unusual looking plant. We've got all different types of lettuces in here. Got some spinach that's going to seed. Now, sometimes plants will go to seed and the plant becomes real bitter. Like certain types of lettuce are that way. As soon as it starts going to seed, it doesn't taste so good. But lettuce or spinach, you can just keep picking off leaves and leaves and leaves. You see they're real tall and skinny. It's because we keep picking leaves off. We don't just pull the whole plant. Now here's one that's going to seed. I'll probably just let it go to seed so I can save them for next year. But once they're done, they're done. But I always try to save some seeds. It saves you in money, but it also gives you an abundant supply of things that you can put back in the ground. We got a small carrot patch here. I wish I had more, because I just love picking carrots. Oh, You know, carrots from the garden, fresh from the garden, are sweeter than anything that you can buy in a store. You know, you eat them within minutes, you wash them off, and they are just so sweet, so good. Got a lot of other stuff. I know it's getting a little bit late for the snow peas, but we're trying them again. This is kind of a trick that Sandy did this year. She decided to put them all in little containers here because we had some problems with some cutworms and some rabbits and stuff. And when you water, it kind of focuses more of the water to the roots. And so far, so good. You know, it's an inexpensive thing to try. And we're doing blueberries for the first time. We've got a bunch of little blueberries popping up here. There's another blueberry patch over here. This is all leeks and onions and garlic, and it's sort of interspersed. It's a big hodgepodge. You got to know what's what to harvest it. But this is a type of plant that's always useful in the kitchen. So I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have certain types of onions and leeks and things of that sort in your garden growing all the time. And we got a few more leeks over here. This is what's left of our lettuce. Lettuce is all getting pretty mature now. I need to plant some more, and there's a couple of bits of kale over there that have come up on their own. And we moved some of our berries. We got raspberries and thornless blackberries over on this side. So this whole area right here is going to be just for a blackberry and raspberry bed. But you know, you've got a lot of space underneath, so might as well throw some lettuce or something else that grows real fast. And every one of these lettuce plants I dug up from the pathways when they were small, and I placed them all in here. You know, a lot of people don't recognize that lettuce transplants really easy. And sometimes you'll have a grouping where you have, 5 or 6 plants that are growing side by side. Well, here's a good example. Look, there's 2 plants right here. So even at this stage, you could dig that up, separate out both of them, and both plants will do better, and you'll get 2 big heads instead of 2 inferior heads. So don't forget to separate your lettuce plants. See, it's happening all over the place here. We get a bunch of little ones coming up over here, so I can dig those little ones up. Here you got 2 different types of lettuce. So that one right there, you can dig it up and move it to another spot. So a lot of work in the garden is working the garden, not letting things just get out of hand. And catching them before it's too late. Anyway, this is our garden, and it is nearing the end of April. Respect to your garden, but they can take up an awful lot of space. Now, I've got a problem. I've got a huge problem. It's the middle of April. The weather is gorgeous, and it's time to start planting some of the more warmer weather crops. But I've overwhelmed my garden with cooler weather crops. I've got lettuce coming up everywhere, as I told you, and I'm eating it. Almost every day I'm eating it. And they're coming ripe, and all of a sudden we've got these big heads of lettuce that are coming up. Look at that thing. That thing is just beautiful, just beautiful. There's only so much lettuce I can eat. I've got a big family, and we feed a lot of them, but in no time at all, I'm going to have heads like this. This one's almost too big. I've got to pull it, and that's for tonight's dinner. Oh, there's another one. That's also tonight's dinner, and that's, well, you know what, you get it. So anyway, I've got a lot of things happening here. I've got snow peas that I planted. I'm a little late. I'm actually quite a bit late, but snow peas are one of those crops that, they come up pretty fast, and if these do okay and it doesn't get too hot, I think we'll get some peas out of that real quick, so I'm willing to gamble. I've got some leeks that are coming up here, and I've got a lot of other leeks that I planted from seed, so they're coming up all over the place. But where do I put my tomatoes? Last year it was over there, so I think I'm going to have to do it over there again. I like to switch up the beds, but I've only got one fallow bed over there. That one's been totally planted, and I've got onions and kale and stuff just coming up everywhere. Now this bed right here is probably a good candidate. I think I'll put some squash in here. I've got a lot of Swiss chard coming up, and some lettuce that, even if it's not quite ready, I'll harvest it ahead of time. Some of the plants, like this kale here, they're going to seed. I don't want to sit there and wait for that one to go to seed. I've got enough kale seeds, so I'm just going to make up my mind and process this out and start over. And that's one of the tough decisions, because I look at these beds and I think to myself, wow, it looks so good. These baby lettuce are still doing well, and it's going to be produced. But if you have too much of a good thing, then you don't get the variety that you need. Now, in any case, this is where my garden's at right now. I'm going to have to make some adjustments. Look at this. Feverfew everywhere. There's about 100 plants. I could pull those all up and they'll all grow. I do have sort of a haphazard approach to my garden. I sort of throw stuff everywhere and it just sort of happens to grow. I do take care of it. I do process it out. I know what's going on. And, you know, I kind of like it that way. I see some of these real orderly gardens where everything is lined up in a row and everything is spaced perfect. That's not me. I throw stuff around and scatter seeds, and I end up with stuff coming up in the pathways. And all this stuff over here, for instance, I've given away probably 500 lettuce plants. I'm going to get some more today. I just take a little flat shovel in here and I scoop it all up, separate them all out, stick them in someone else's garden, and lo and behold, they have lettuce too. So I don't know where you're at in your garden. It's the middle of April. Mine's doing amazing.